Well, folks, before we get rolling with today's video, I just wanted to take a minute and thank everyone out there who has subscribed here to our YouTube channel. We're closing in now on 450,000 subscribers, and we're well on the road to a 500,000. I'm hoping we get there before January 20th. And so if you haven't already, be sure and hit that button. Also, I do have a sale in my merch stores. If you click on store here on YouTube and go over there and enter the promo code THANKFUL, then you will have 20% off of your order. So I truly appreciate all of you, and I'm very thankful and grateful to have you here every day supporting what it is that I do. And I've said so many times that we're going to be in for a long and bumpy ride. And another thing I think about every day is what an injustice it's going to be that Donald Trump was never held accountable for the things that he did, and that the mainstream media just normalized that guy. And now in victory, they're all just making him out to be this hero. And they're also all about revenge and retribution at this point. And I think we really need to pay attention to stories like I'm about to read you. They're disturbing, and there's something that shouldn't be. This is not the kind of America that we want to live in, but unfortunately, that's where we're at. Because this story here comes to you from MidasNews.com, and the headline in and of itself should alarm anyone. But we're going to get in and read the story as well. But check this out, folks. This is from J.D. Wolf from the Midas Touch Network. Trump defense nominee Pete Hegseth doesn't want soldiers held accountable for killing civilians. We're going to watch a quick clip of him talking about this, and then we will read the article.
You've got to do it along all three levels. I mean, tactically, first of all, you have to untie the hands of warfighters, get the lawyers off the front lines or off the backs of guys. There's always going to be Army lawyers. I get it, but they need to be defending our troops more than trying to prosecute them and creating all these complicated laws that say, even in a civilian environment, in a complex neighborhood, if you kill one civilian, you're the bad guy. You can't fight and win a war that way. Operationally, you need to have, battalions of brigades.
So yeah, that is the guy that Trump has nominated for Secretary of Defense. It's pretty damn scary. But let's read this article. So Fox News host Pete Hegseth, nominated by former President Donald Trump to be Secretary of Defense, made alarming comments during a Facebook Live book signing in June, revealing a disturbing perspective on the conduct of warfare. In discussing the rules of engagement, which aim to minimize civilian casualties in conflict zones, Hegseth argued that the military personnel should be untied from restrictions, that Army lawyers should focus on defending troops than prosecuting them for civilian deaths. Hegseth claimed that it is impossible to win a war if soldiers are held accountable for killing civilians. These remarks are deeply concerning for several reasons. First, Hegseth's casual dismissal of civilian lives as collateral damage undermines the fundamental principles of international humanitarian law, which seeks to protect non-combatants during conflict. While the realities of warfare are complex, these laws exist to prevent the kind of indiscriminate violence that has historically led to catastrophic loss of innocent life. His statement implies a willingness to prioritize military objectives over human life, a dangerous stance for someone poised to lead the Department of Defense. Second, Hegseth's rhetoric is a troubling reflection of an authoritarian mindset, one that seems to value military success above ethical considerations. As Secretary of Defense, Hegseth could advocate for a hands-off approach to military conduct, which threatens to erode the United States' relationships with other countries and their ability to call out human rights abuses. So yeah, folks, that is a pretty disturbing story. So now you pair that with Donald Trump saying that in some cases he may have to turn the American military on civilians and on us because he says that we are the enemy from within. You pair that with what Pete Hegseth has said, and I can't see anything but a recipe for disaster. These people are all about revenge and retribution, and they're very resentful to us for trying to hold them accountable this entire time. That's what it boils down to. Now, our justice system absolutely failed us, and we did not get to see Donald Trump held accountable. But while we sit here day in and day out bringing the evidence and showing people what was going on, they went out of their way to just keep digging in and fighting harder and harder and harder. And as they continued to fight harder, what they did was they got their base more and more riled up to the point that I really don't think they would care if anyone got hurt. And that's the scariest part of it, and it's also the saddest part of it to me, that they don't care enough about their fellow Americans, that they would be okay with someone saying that. They would be okay with the military being used on fellow civilians. Now, they're the ones that went up there and beat police officers over the head and broke into our nation's capital, and they call those people patriots and hostages. But then to anyone who speaks out against Trump, well, they're the enemy from within. I don't understand how that they ever expect us to reach across the aisle and shake hands with a clenched fist. And I don't understand how anyone could expect us to be friends with people like that. To be friends with people that would have that type of mentality and would look at us and have no value for our life whatsoever. You know, I welcome people who disagree with me. I want to have conversations. I want to talk about things. I want to work things out. I want to come to a better understanding of it. I want people to tell me when I've got it wrong and why. But if you tell me that I have it wrong, don't just bark at me and say Trump 2024 and sit and troll and just send a bunch of ridiculous memes. Come at me with some sort of evidence and some sort of truth. You know, I welcome conversations where we can have a healthy dialogue and we can go back and forth. But the reason why that I block trolls is because they're just that. They're not anyone bringing anything of any meaning to the conversation. And so, you know, when I click on someone's profile and they have a picture of a bald eagle or Trump's head on Rambo, and then their description says, I'm here to make libs' lives hell. Well, that's not someone that I ever want to engage with, because it tells me they're not willing to engage. All they're wanting to do is just continue to spread that kind of divisive rhetoric. And when we point these things out, they love this about Pete Hegseth. They would love to see this. Now, you got the people who just voted for Trump because of his policies, or they voted for him because they was afraid their granddaddy might roll over in his grave or some stupid shit like that. And those people, I would say, you're kind of worse than the ones that just comes right out loud and says it. Because what you do is you sit back and go, oh, I don't think nothing like this would ever happen. I wouldn't worry too much about it if I were you, Brando. It's all going to be okay. But I never hear them say they have a problem with someone saying that. I never hear them say, hey, we wouldn't stand there and let that happen to you. No, they're going to sit back and be quiet about it. And when you go back and read the history books of 1930s Germany and you say to yourself, man, how did this happen? Was it anybody speaking out? I'm sure there were. And I'm sure there were a lot of people who were speaking up for it. And there were a lot of people who were saying, that won't happen here. But that's a pretty disturbing story. And I would like to hear one. For the people's like, I like watching your videos. I enjoy it, even though I disagree with you. Okay, I'm going to issue a challenge to you right here now. Reach out to me in my inbox, if you will. I'll pull it up. I'll make a video. I'll screenshot it. I'll show it. Tell me you voted for Trump. Tell me you support his policies. Tell me all that. But tell me that you would fight to the death for my right to say the things I say. Tell me that you would stand in the way if Pete Hegseth and Trump decided to turn the military on people like us. And until you do that, don't call me your friend. Don't sit and say, oh, it's not going to be so bad. No, bring it. Show me. Say it. Be willing to own it. Be willing to let it be out there in a video that you're one of them that said, no, I would never go for that. Until then, it's not going to be something that I could just brush off and go, yeah, I'm not too worried about it. No, I do worry about things like this, and people should be worried about things like this, and it should alarm people. And we have to keep raising awareness on these stories. We'll keep looking for the silver lining. We'll keep putting in the work. We'll keep doing better. We will make it. I truly believe that we will. I sometimes feel like you have to go through some dark shit to get to the other side. I do believe there are good days ahead of us, but we can't turn a blind eye to these type of stories ever. So again, thank you guys so much for coming along with me. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, be sure to do so. And let's just keep doing what we're doing. Let's keep putting in the work, because we got a long road ahead of us, and we're going to have to put in the work if we're going to come out the other side of this thing.